Mindfulness Collective. This right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream. Come to you live from Brooklyn, New York. And it is lovely, as always, to be here with you. Folks, we're joined here by our co-host, little Sela Bobila, as she's also known. I'm very happy to be here with you folks, having a lovely day. Had a lovely little yoga class, a trauma-informed yoga class. We're going to bring some of those chill-ass fun vibes to today's practice. But of course, today is, as you already probably know, Freaky Friday, and we're going to be deciding what our practice is together in this particular moment. So folks, hit me in the chat with a couple things. One, where are you at? And what you're grateful for. Where am I at? I'm in Brooklyn. What am I grateful for? A calm nervous system. And we're going to be talking about that today in the practice itself. So it's good times. So folks, tell me, where are you? And what are you grateful for? I'm grateful that Sela's here with me, not at the office with Raquel. Very nice to have Sela chilling with us today. And yeah, what's up, folks? What's going on here? Jean, morning from Brooklyn. Grateful for the power sanders and the decision to use them. Dust be damned, exactly. There's some really good, I don't know if you have noticed, but the newer power sanders have a vacuum attachment, and I'm always amazed at how much those things can actually take in just through this little on the side of it. So yeah, excellent. What else, folks? What else are folks here for? I mean, what are you? Where are you, and what are you grateful for? What are you here for? Little puppy action. Are you here for the doggy cam? Yeah, little doggy. So also, P.S. today, as we're rolling and beginning to trickle in, let me know what am I talking about? Let me know what you want the meditation to be. I could think of something, but if you have something in particular in mind that's challenging or difficult today, then I'm happy to support that. Also grateful for Bernie Sanders memes. Oh yeah, the Bernie Sanders mitten memes. I don't know if anyone saw those. There's a lot of those. Bernie Sanders and mittens. Very cute. And also, what was the thing that I just learned a minute ago that I was like, that is heartening in terms of politics. Oh, yes, I have news. This is, I don't know if anyone's seen this, is a 19-minute old news, but the new Senate Majority Leader has stated that the impeachment proceedings will begin Monday, which is like awesome, because honestly, it's like there's this whole wrangling. Will they wait a year? Will they wait, whatever? Like, is this, and it's like, no, there needs to be like a ripping the Band-Aid moment. And it's also that there was this worry that the Senator Schumer, as the new majority leader, would wait until Republicans were ready to, whatever. And he's just like, no, we're just moving forward. 613 says, morning from NorCal. Grateful for some rain. Oh, sorry, I said rain. Some rain right now in a very dry season. That's lovely. Glad to hear that. I didn't know I guess it makes sense, but Northern California would be low on rain. I thought that would be more Southern California, but I guess I'm sure that's the case. But awesome. So as folks are trickling in here, let us know where you are and one thing you're grateful for. It's been proven that people who list things that they're grateful for tend to feel more fulfilled in life. So I'm also grateful. P.S. We have our cozy little doggy here. It's funny how just the different camera, like this whole view looks so nice because the camera lens looks so soft and yay, and nicely lit, and this view is just the same exact scene with a different camera, and it's looks like brutal and intense, looks like a different place, but little doggy cam action going on here. And dog's found her bone. She's having a good time now, and I'm actually going to drop this, see if we can make this a little better. So yeah, let me know what you're, where you are and what you are grateful for. Okay, get that a little bit lower so we can get a little more doggy action. Doggy cam here. Good girl. Okay, we got the handle here of a what is it called? Kettlebell, which my friends were like, "Hey, this is a great idea. Here, let me pick this up." Oh my God! My friends were like, "Get a kettlebell. Get a competition style, definitely competition, because they're all the same size." And it's like, I don't know, it looks sort of small in the picture or like in general, but it's like, man, these things they're just giant, and they're also like, I don't know, they're intense. So that's been part of my new fun good times. Kettlebell, just set that down. Clunk. Okay, Jean says, Janusz, is your nervous system calm because of the yoga or something else? I think it's a combination. I think the meditation and the yoga both were helpful, but I hit something in the particular yoga, today that was very clarifying, and it was sort of very simple. I actually want to use that in our guided meditation today, so it's part of what I want to talk about around calming the nervous system. Nick says, just got home for the weekend in Karlstad, Sweden. Grateful for modern healthcare, not big pharma. There you go. There is a clear difference, especially in a country that has somewhat socialized medicine, which is lovely. Is Sweden completely socialized? I'm not even sure if that's even precisely what that would mean, but I guess there is. Is there still private healthcare there? I'm not sure. Or I guess we describe complete socialized medicine as everyone who wants to, without barrier of income, can get free healthcare. That would probably be closer. Have to leave, but catch you later. Catch you later, Nick. Great to see you. And if you're watching this on replay, great to see you here on replay. It's one of the things I like about video is that it's always the present moment for whoever watches it, so it's pretty powerful in that way. So, what is the point, though? So we're going to meditate today. So, folks, as we're getting ready here, hit me with what you're interested in, what challenges, difficulties, interests, opportunities are arising, and I'll create a very special custom meditation for you in that experience. And we'll eventually stop the dog from chewing once we actually start the meditation itself, but we'll find out. And what else? What things are on your mind, challenges, difficulties, any of that stuff? We're headed in your direction. They're tearing down socialized care. Well, again, this is, maybe it's very American-centric, which is like I'm sure a lot of my thinking is, but I find that when there is it's like the whole world and large governments often will follow the lead of America. So with a like very relatively like tyrannical or like fascistic, I think it's fair to say in a very sort of objective way, like fascist sort of leaning tendencies that like power from above is much more important than the will of the people, and that government can't work unless it's sort of a strong arm, like powerful thing, like that sweeps across, and all these different nations and all these different entities are absorbing that, and I think that lasts for a while, and then if the administration switches, that sort of thing switches. So I have a feeling that things are going to switch as the world sort of takes notice. Yeah, exactly. So hopefully that will actually switch, because there is the stability of Obamacare and that kind of thing is probably going to be fortified in the United States. So, folks, we are going to meditate. I hear no requests. No one has any problems, difficulties, challenges, interests, opportunities. No one's listing anything in the chat. No problem. That's fine with me. I encourage you to, because then it'll be your own personal meditation versus whatever happens to be coming out of my head. It also helps me because if I can get into your mind, I can guide more clearly. So hit me with whatever you're interested in, whatever challenges coming up, and we will go from there. Beep up, beep up. Okay, and here we go. Jean says, I'm liking the idea of calm nervous system. Great. We're going to be working with that throughout this practice. That's going to be a theme no matter what. But if there's anything else coming up for folks, we'll take requests, challenges, interests, opportunities, any of those things, and then we will meditate. That is exactly what we'll do. And is there anything else? No, that's about it. That is about it. Dog's having fun with her bone. We will have to take your bone away, though, my dear. It's okay. We're just moving the camera so we can see you better when we want to. So the point is, though, that any other requests or interests, anything else coming up for folks before we begin? No pressure, but could be helpful. Okay, then we will begin. I'm going to encourage folks to a couple things. One, I'm going to encourage you to find stillness, so not moving the body at all. However, because especially we're going to be talking about calming the nervous system, stillness might not work for people. And actually, we might even do some movement in the practice itself. So unless otherwise instructed, I'm going to encourage you to generally keep your body still, but actually I think we're going to do a little bit of movement while we're practicing. Part of the meditation will actually involve movement. So go ahead and allow the body to move, but this is something I want to emphasize, and this might be the new way I talk about this because it relates to today's practice. We want to move at a speed that will calm the nervous system, not at a speed that's, make the whole system sort of more jumpy. We want to move at a speed that's going to actually soothe the overall experience. So even if we have to scratch something, we can go ahead and do so very slowly, mindfully, and just doing so, there might be an impulse to move more quickly, but we're always judging our movement if we have to make an adjustment based on what will calm the nervous system versus what will activate or agitate that nervous system. So finding that nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. Also, if you feel any overwhelm or anything like that, feel free to move or adjust or even stop the meditation. We're going to meditate for 25 minutes, and trust me, if that sounds like it's too much, it is not. You'll do fine. And it'll be pretty easy as long as you trust yourself, and if you need to move, you can feel free to do so. Okay, Sela, I'm very sorry, but your noisy ass bone has to be taken away. Good girl. I know, it's sad. Yeah, look at that pout. Confusion. Okay, folks, so find that nice comfortable position, and when you're ready, we will begin. Just one sec. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths, just feeling the body rise and fall. Each time we begin a meditation, we begin with the momentum of all of the previous moments. And much of our life is spent at a pretty fast momentum. So we're going to not intentionally push or try to slow down our momentum of experiencing, just noticing whatever aspect of our experience now feels slow or calm. Noticing that we can attend to the sensations of this particular moment in a way that's quick, jumps around, is jittering from one thing to another, or a softer, calmer, way of relating. Of course, the mind is very good at noticing opposites, so if we look for the slower side of our experience, the mind might show us the faster side, and that's fine. Just recognizing this, seeing and knowing that's okay. We'll begin by relaxing the body. So starting at the top of the head, relax the brow. Relax the muscles behind the eyes. Letting that relaxation spread to the face, allowing the face to go smooth. Relaxing the back of the tongue. Letting the jaw go slack. Relaxing the neck and the shoulders. Relaxing the arms and relaxing the hands. Letting go of any attempt to control the breath, letting the body breathe as it will. In fact, let's change that instruction. Let's allow the body to breathe in whatever way would allow us to be more comfortable, calm, slow us down, but also to stay close to the sensations. So this might mean some subtle direction of the breath, and that's okay. Or we might find just letting the body breathe as it will is the most supportive way to stay with our sensations. Relaxing the belly and the lower back. Relaxing the hips and the upper legs. Relaxing the Achilles, the ankles, and relaxing the feet. And because we've had such a strong emphasis on relaxation, noticing if the system is getting sleepy or foggy. We want to invite the part that's nice and slow, quiet, calm, but the part that's getting us drowsy or entering us into fogginess, we want to let go of that. So we're finding this balance between restfulness and wakefulness. And what I'm going to encourage you to do is a couple times breathe very deeply, letting the belly and chest expand and noticing how much this physically moves the body. If we deeply fill the lower belly, the middle belly, let the chest fully fill, let it lift the body. Letting the breath flow away at whatever natural pace feels good for us. But in this practice, we're going to allow the body to move along with the breath. The body ordinarily moves on its own. But we're going to encourage and allow this movement. But we're going to choose movements, and in particular the speed of movement, that most readily calms the nervous system. So we're listening to the nervous system as we move. If we find that all of this relaxation is getting us foggy, tuning into the crispness of the sensations in this particular moment, the awakeness of our awareness. So we're moving along with the breath. We're also allowing the body to move even beyond this. So perhaps the head wants to gently sway or move as though it's looking side to side. Perhaps the hands want to very gently tighten and relax. Maybe none of this. Maybe the body wants to be still. But even if it's so subtle we can't see it, even if there's no actual external physical movement, we're keeping the body engaged, keeping the movement, even if extremely subtle, ongoing. If we find that this movement is not supportive for calming the nervous system, again, we can find stillness. We may also find that there isn't a lot of stillness or calm, that there's some agitation present. And that's fine, that's not a problem. Noticing how we feel towards that experience of agitation. Is there any compassion or understanding when we look at how we feel towards it? In other words, can we find a kind of acceptance or peace with the fact that part of the system doesn't feel that acceptance or peace? Noticing that Some part of us may be assessing, this is going wonderfully or this is going terribly. That's natural. It's not a problem. Our goal is not to push out or eliminate any agitation. It's to know that it's there and to know it in a way that may be ultimately calming, stilling, but not rejecting. It's as though each of us has a squirmy little puppy inside of us. And part of our job is to hold that highly energetic puppy in a way that's calm, welcoming, gentle, that would calm its nervous system. If we hold too tight, it just creates more wriggliness. If we stop paying attention, it'll just drift away and do its own wriggly, agitated thing. So we're finding this balance between wakefulness and restfulness. How can we calm the nervous system and still notice the bright, clear quality of our experience? Not be pulled into the agitation or the dullness, the fogginess. And allowing movement can be a helpful process, a helpful tool. It's hard to fully drift away if the body's moving, even if it's slightly moving. But if we're moving in a way that's calming, this can be very soothing. And seeing if we can also take in the whole body. What are the needs experientially, physically, of the body as a whole? Is there some part of us that needs a little bit of a stretch? Some other movement? Letting go of the part of us that needs to complete any particular movement quickly. That's jumping to do the stretch, be done. Make the movement swiftly, efficiently. What way of moving would slow the system? And if possible, viewing the general or overall experience of the body rather than any individual part. It's the whole body, observing the whole body. And either continuing in this way, continuing allowing the body to move and exploring this, or if we'd like, we can find stillness in the body, or relative stillness. Tuning into the way the body moves on its own. Simply the breath pushing and pulling, lifting the torso, expanding the belly and chest. Not controlling the breath, just noticing what arises. Perhaps even detecting the breath all throughout the body. Recognizing that whatever you're experiencing, this is your one chance. This particular moment will never be available again. And our likelihood of finding peace and contentedness in the future is largely based on our willingness to try to detect and connect with these particular sensations in this particular moment. This particular moment is very important for our future happiness. The good news is that we have infinite chances to learn this. Each moment is fed to us one after the next. And we have the opportunity to turn towards or to drift into unconsciousness. So in this particular moment, choosing to turn towards, to know whatever this experience is. If there's judgment, that's fine. Just knowing that there's judgment. If there's liking or disliking, it's fine. Knowing that that is present as well. If there's a sense of a me, a self experiencing this, an imagined character at the center of this universe, just including that, letting that be known. So staying with the practice, staying in stillness, allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes, eventually allowing the eyes to rest on a single point as they fully open. Letting the spaciousness of seeing, all seeing experience, open up awareness, giving the body space. Letting whatever's occurred, whatever we've experienced in this practice, letting the momentum of that wash over us now. And in this way, letting this particular moment be the great teacher that shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay, so what was that experience like? What happened? And what do you like now? Excellent. Oh, yeah, use those digits, folks. use that digital technology. Tell me, what on earth was that experience like? What happened? What do you like now? We had some nice, additional doggy sound effects in there. Hopefully that was fun, helpful. What was that like? It was really based on chilling out the nervous system, which I feel like is part of most meditations, but I just thought it'd be nice to have one where we really, really dig into that. Potentially getting folks a little overly sleepy, but that's okay. Not the end of the world. Yeah, what was that like? What happened and what do you like now? We're going to pop the Discord in here in case anyone wants to chit-chat like kitty cats. Beep up. No, that's right here. And where is this? Oops. Let's see. If anyone wants the Discord, there it is. What else? Yeah, what was that like, folks? Pretty chill Friday. We'll see what happens, but that's where we're at. Yeah, I'm just feeling really chill. So, little background here. So, for a long time, I wanted a yoga course because I could go to lots of yoga classes even virtually, but I'm very much not good at showing up. Basically, when it's like the time to show up, it's like 20 minutes before, and I'm like, do I really want to like wake up first thing in the morning? Do I really want to break up my day? I said, not today. I just feel like today, maybe I think next time. I'm just going to do it next time. And I just tend to, in the moment, just executive functioning goes out the window, and I'm like, I don't care. So I wanted a yoga course because I'm much better at courses. I can show up. I can, no problem. That's much easier for me. So I looked online, yoga course, and what I found online was that there was a trauma-informed yoga, not mindfulness, trauma-informed yoga, which I had looked for in the past, but never found someone who did, and this is a perfect match. So I started that today, and the thing I really noticed about it was, one of the things I really noticed about it was this question around what way of relating to this would calm the nervous system, would teach the nervous system that whatever's happening is fine and not a threat necessarily. I think that's one of the things about trauma that's challenging, is it feels like there's certain experiences that seem like to the system that they're a threat. So that's what we did today, was we just took that one little piece and slow the system down. So that was fun. Hopefully that was fun for you. It was nice to have a little squirmy puppy here, because I was doing exactly what I was describing, which is trying to calm the puppy so that it was not actually squirming and making lots of noise, which I thought was really fun. Okay, let's tune. And this might not have worked for people. Some people might be like, that was terrible, it drove me crazy, but let me know if that's the case. Jean has a nice heavy report here, or a multifaceted report, so let's take a listen.
I'll comment on my experience, but first I wanted to ask if I am getting the general idea correct and if you wanted to extrapolate on it. As a person is developing, even pre-language, they may read facial expressions, and they may experience developmental trauma. This can be held in the body, nervous system, whether we call it somatically held emotion or stuck chi. If those dysregulated parts of the nervous system are accessed and retrained, a person might heal in some way or level up.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So what Jean is describing there is generally developmental trauma. There are studies showing that children as young as like a few months old can actually, I mean, they say that there's research showing that the attachment system, meaning the infant's ability to detect and reflect emotional experience back and forth with the caretaker, comes online in like 6 minutes. It's like immediately the infant has this symbiotic interactive relationship with the caretaker. And as they become older and more sophisticated, they have more and more sort of neural pathways around interpersonal interaction. If the caretaker has a hot wired nervous system, or if they're like overstimulated, or they just can't handle their own emotion, what will happen is that the infant will take that in, and they'll see that experience in the caretaker, and they'll mirror that in themselves. Or the caretaker can't handle a certain emotional experience, and the infant will express that emotional experience even subtly or grossly. It'll be weeping or crying or whatever. And the caretaker will sort of shut off and, I don't know about that. And the infant learns, hey, this thing that I need, this entity that gives me all my food and comfort and care, disappears when I have this experience. So I better shut that down. So there can be a physical tightening in the body, or a physical, something to obscure it. I'm working with someone that has, sometimes there'll be a muscle tension that'll actually be a kind of guard to some other emotional experience. So there's something to shut that emotion down. That only works for so long. Folks know that I'm in the recovery business. I'm not business, but that's my background. So I've been in recovery for some time, and a lot of the way people describe their addiction is that they were able to cover up whatever emotion with substances, etc., for a while, and then at some point it just stopped working, and it was terrifying because the thing that was the solution to emotional overwhelm suddenly didn't work, or suddenly was creating more problems, etc. So that's one of the sort of central functions of addiction. So trying to cover up those emotions in some way, even if it's subtle, or just a way that a sort of mind state or a posture that we have externally or internally, is often the expression of what we'll call developmental trauma. Or in some cases, it's just case point trauma that occurred as a single thing or a few series of things that's very specific, versus what we're describing here, which is like an atmosphere where you can't feel your emotions, or it's too much to feel the emotions. So the point of it is, that is exactly right, and that by retraining the system to be able to hold the overwhelming experience, to be able to hold discomfort or intensity from a kind of witness state, to be able to navigate those experiences without having to sort of fracture the system, to learn what actually makes the system calm and regulated, often to recognize that we actually need other people who we can trust in order to do that, to start to know who we can trust versus the people who sort of are very misattuned, this kind of thing. All of these can help heal the system very significantly. Exalted Bro says, how does yoga work? I've never done it, but it seems to be connected to meditation somehow. Well, it's a very, very broad category, yoga. In the largest sense, I mean, I'm going to be speaking to some degree out of my vague experience, so take this with a grain of salt. From a very large experience, yoga, in a sense, is a kind of embodied meditation, and in many cases yoga is actually more broadly meant to prepare the body for meditation, or for long extensive meditations. That's one of the sort of traditional pieces of that, and there's so many types of yoga, etc. If you're interested on a type of yoga that is very closely related to meditation, try yin yoga, Y-I-N. Very powerful. And one of the things I like about yin yoga is you get into some posture, like whatever the posture is. I mean, you might not be holding your arm like this. This isn't more of a traditional yoga pose, but you could actually, go ahead and do this if you want, if you have tight shoulders. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. I'm catching one arm with the other one. I'm putting this one here and sort of just resting, if you can do this pose. And then in yin yoga, you just sit here, and maybe for 5 minutes you sit here and you breathe deeply. And the breathing is what actually moves the stretch, right? And you're not tightening, pulling. You're just actually holding in a position. And you just sit here and you let go, and you don't do anything, and you let go, and you don't do anything. And over time, we start to notice, like way down at the level of bone, are these places where we're holding and we don't need to hold. And so the process is about this sort of very deep layer after layer of letting go, which is very much, physical clinging is a very big, significant part of, the path of awakening, is getting rid of physical clinging. So that's helpful. Oh no, the camera froze. Thanks for telling me. I can't see the camera. There we go. Let me fix that real quick. This is we've yet to figure out why this is, but there it is. Okay, I'm going to do this one more time. Okay, so I'm holding the arm. I'm basically doing this classic, arm out. I don't know if you can see this, but one arm's like this, one's like this. I'm just resting this here, and I'm just holding this, and breathing in deeply, breathing out deeply, and you just stay there. You don't try to do anything. You don't try to change anything. You don't try to pull or tighten. And you can even do that one lying down, where you're lying and the arm is across. And of course, you want good instruction. Make sure you're looking at a good yin yoga instruction in that way. But it's a very powerful practice where you're not trying to do anything. You just sit there and let the weight of your body sort of do the practice for you. Also, restorative yoga is similar. Sometimes the two mix, but I like yin yoga in particular. Okay. Jean also, I believe, is a pretty long-time yoga practitioner. So Jean says the following. What does Jean say here? There we go. Jean says,
"Thanks. That was a great experience today for me. I was able to sit pretty still, but during the times I felt uncomfortable sensations, I did a slow planned stretch to get that discomfort to dissipate. And did not feel like a delinquent for moving. Generally, a lot of times during sits, I find I need to straighten up because I have either started to lean forward or back. I also find it super interesting to note just how much the breath does move the body."
Yeah, that's very fascinating. And you second the suggestion of yin yoga. It can be very meditative, absolutely. And one thing I would look for, though, is, because usually you want to try something out, you want to kind of do it relatively quickly. The thing with yin yoga is, in a normal yoga, not normal, in a common, popular American yoga situation, each pose is like 30 seconds, maybe, on a big, long pose, it's like a minute long, and that's like a minute long. Poses in yin are standard 5 minutes. So if you try to do a 10-minute yin yoga thing, it's really going to be sped up. So if you are willing to try to do 30 minutes or an hour, because it's very, you'll do 5 poses in the entire time. It's very, very slow. You're just sitting there. There's nothing to do, nowhere to go. And that's a lot of the power of that. So that's what I would generally say there. What else, folks? Any other questions, comments, interests, opportunities, anything else going on that you would like to discuss? What else is happening up in here? What else is happening here? How long was your dark night? Okay, so Exalted, I just want to pause here for a minute, because I know that you've many times been concerned about and talked about your concerns about dark night. So it's really important, especially because one of the criticisms of Daniel Ingram's book is that because of its overemphasis on the dark night, people just pay so much attention to it. They're so worried about it. There's so much concern. What does it mean? How does it go? And really, the number one way to move through and get through the dark night is to use all of our resources to just take care of ourselves and just keep practicing and keep, getting support and, getting therapy and all of those things. And the system will move through. There's no real way of predicting how long it's going to be for any one individual person. So it's worth knowing that it's just different for different people. It's also the really intense bad ones are very, very, very uncommon. It's like in the 1 percentile or less. Probably a lot less, probably like 1 in 1,000 is my guess. The really ones that are just totally take over your whole system. And keep in mind that with good instruction, so my experience was I had a very intense retreat. I came out of the retreat. I was, very powerful. I went to a restaurant in Manhattan, which actually a few years later blew up. It's a restaurant that was well known in the East Village for having exploded and, taking out a building with it, because they never fixed their gas, and that was one of my favorite restaurants. So, or they fixed their own gas is the problem. And so I was in the restaurant, and at some point I was like, oh, I wonder about don't know mind. I was like, I wonder what would happen if I just do a little don't know mind now, is what I thought. And I looked over at this poster, which I think was a poster of all the different types of sushi that they have. And I said, I wonder if I hold this in don't know mind, what happens? And I just held it in the form of a question. And the whole system, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back, and just went poof, and tipped the thing over, and everything was suddenly very whoa, in a sense it's like the movement and the fluidity of the sort of the flow experience cracked something much deeper, and the whole thing was just inside and outside was very liquidy and confusing. And it wasn't bad, it was just very, very confusing. And I remember exiting the restaurant and seeing a car that was parked across the parked across, like stopped at the stop sign, and it was like all the way across, and I was like, it was like the whole avenue between us and the car, and I remember not being able to tell exactly if the car was sitting there or if it was moving, and I was like, is this coming towards me or is this car moving? And I said to my girlfriend at the time, like, you got to help me out here, like, just keep an eye on me because I feel a little weird. And, I spoke with Shinzen afterwards, and he said, okay, so first, are you acting weird objectively? Are people saying, hey, you're acting weird? And I said, no. I said, okay, good. That's a good sign. So if you're experiencing some dark night material, check in with yourself. Are people telling you, like, hey, something's really off? Like, are you okay? You seem like something's weird. If not, it's probably not that bad. It's probably more internal, and it seems like it's like very weird or strange. We then went to the botanical gardens, and I remember like there was one moment which was pretty important. I looked at one of the koi in the koi pond and thought for a second, I wonder what that koi's experience is like. This is very significant because everything was like very like difficult. There's like I think it was like West African parade going on like outside of the botanical garden, and just the bass pumping was just like, it felt like it was like sickening. It was like, not because of the kind of music, but just because there's something weird, invasive, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. And I looked at the koi, and for a second I thought, wonder what that koi's experience is like. Just sort of silly thought, and suddenly everything became super quiet and silent, and it was just this beautiful piece of nature moving, and then it broke, and I was back to like, there's a lot of identification. So a lot of what can happen that's powerful, and like if there is a dark night experience, is again opening awareness, looking at the world from other people's perspective. This is one reason why doing service and helping other people is so powerful, or trying to relate to somebody else, looking at their emotional experience and observing ours, going back and forth, not just being locked in our one single identified perspective. So that was that. I talked to Shinzen. He was very helpful. I decided to go back to another retreat. So this is basically this is like 4 weeks of it being like really intense. And on the retreat, something cracked, more stuff, very dramatic, et cetera, et cetera. But that, the part that I experienced as being bad, well, that was only like a few weeks. That was like 3-4 weeks because I was confused and I thought it was bad. But then I was like, no, this is fine. And Shinzen helped me see, like, it's fine. It's just weird. And weird is not a bad thing. It's just weird. And even if the part of me thinks it's bad, it's like, well, that's just a part of me. I don't have to believe it, etc. And then things stayed very, very liquidy, very like for about maybe 9 months to a year. And then I went to a retreat, and suddenly something flipped, and it felt very, very normal. What I had understood as known as normal in the past. And I remember talking to Shinzen and being like, this is so weird. I had gotten used to this other experience, but this feels very normal. I thought this was over. I thought I had gotten past this. And what Shinzen described was very helpful. He said in his sort of like, classic sort of Zen response, he's like, you have to stop preferring. And I didn't quite understand it in that moment, but we talked a little bit during that retreat. And he said that what I understood, this is how I explain it to people, is that because all the weird stuff is very novel in meditation. Let me just make sure this, okay, I haven't frozen. Because all the weird stuff in meditation is novel, it seems like that is progress. Novelty is what growing in the path looks like. I had this experience, everything was atmospheric and floaty, or I felt so relaxed. It was different than I'm used to, so therefore it is progress. And especially I was concerned with maps and things like this. And okay, so the novelty and different things that were different than my normal experience felt like movement, change, growth. At some point, the system actually, in a way, it's like it started to take in what I had usually experienced as normal. And Shinzen said, you have to stop preferring. The system, no matter how far it goes out, it always comes back. And if we think that going out is depth and awakening, and then coming back is not, well, guess what? We're going to fight reality. So what I realized at that time, and over time especially, was that I had been privileging novelty, not recognizing that the ordinary world is just as weird and just as strange and transformative and full of insight as the the world of deconstruction and that kind of thing. So right now, those deconstructive experiences are cool and they happen all the time, but they're so mixed with normality that There's no real difference. The whole form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. That liquidity and that like non-self and all that stuff, when self comes together and world comes together and the two collide and feel like it's like, oh, it's this stiff or organized experience of the world that I might normally call normality. It's the same material as that ethereal, deconstructed world, but it's just organized differently. And that's all we experience is reorganizations of the same material over and over again. So hopefully that answers your question. It's a long answer, but the real key is that it's just part of the same material we've experienced. It's nothing like to get too worried or wrapped up about. And the part of you that's like, worried about it, make sure you're bringing that part into the meditation. Because if you're like if the part of you that's like concerned isn't, if you're not aware that that's just another sensory experience, that's just another part of you, it's not all of you, it's just some part that's gnawing on this concern, then it's just a piece of unconsciousness and it's just going to drive you crazy. So hopefully that helps clarify a little bit. Jean says, oh wow, for a sec I thought you meant it became very popular, blew up. I'm not sure which thing you meant, but I'm curious about that. Help me understand that. Exalta says, I'm asking because I recently had a taste of getting closer, and if it stays like that, continuing studies will be difficult. Well, just know that you can do it. You 100% can do it. I 100% believe in you. There are a lot of resources out there. I think you can, I was going to say, I think that, with reaching out, you can 100% do it. You can get through your studies. And part of the premise is to use all of your resources. It's possible. See, this is the case. Whenever something is difficult, we have to recognize that we need more resources, right? So right now we're in this big pandemic, and maybe before, when we were seeing people on the regular and we could get out and see our lives beyond our little, tiny cells of our homes, we could get by with fewer resources. But now that things are stressful, we need more resources. We need to be more connected with people. We need to be taking care of our bodies a little bit better because things are harder. So all that you have to recognize is that if things get harder in your studies or some dark night material comes to the foreground, you just reach out more. You just do a little bit more, maybe fitness. You make sure you get to bed on time. You take care of yourself. And for a person who has generally a supportive life and has the tools in place, they're going to be fine. And because in part it never really gets that bad, and even when it does, you just reach out to somebody, talk about it, and just know that whatever you experience, whatever fear you had related to it, whatever terror or disgust, whatever, it's just sense activity. It's not the end of the world. In a way it's like part of us, when we have some contact with dark night materials, like the boy who cried wolf, it's like, it's the end of the world, it's terrible, I'll never be okay. And it's like, do we listen to that part, or do you just recognize that part is also just another piece of sense activity? It's not better or special or any different than the sensations in our hand. It's just some activity. So that's the key, is whatever is missing, whatever is not included in the meditation, include that. And this is the phrase that Leonard Cohen said in relationship to this is, you either become the ocean or you're seasick every day. And he's referring exactly to this experience. You either become this openness, this liquidity, this non-constructed experience, this emptiness, or you're going to be fighting it every day. Now, he doesn't say you learn to swim, right? Because that implies you still say this little individual, now you're just dealing with this ocean. You become the ocean. Or you're going to be a seasick, sailor, like stuck and lost every day. Exalted said, I don't mind being scared or feeling terrible that much. Good sign. But it was taking my sleep. I just can't deal with losing sleep. Great. So all you have to do then, which is not necessarily easy, but is just work on sleep stuff. Work on all the basic sleep hygiene pieces, all of those things that you might not normally have to do. Normally it might be fine. You just stay on your screen and you push all day long right until midnight, and then you try to go to bed and get up at 7 in the morning or something. But you toss and turn because the mind keeps going. Maybe you need to do, in this case we're talking about yoga, maybe you need to do yoga to calm the system down a little bit. Maybe you can't drink, a big thing people really forget is when they're younger, they can drink coffee all day long, and then nighttime comes and they think, oh, I'm fine, but then as they get older, they get more and more sensitive to caffeine. So, don't drink caffeine any later than 12 hours before you're going to go to bed. It'll still be in your system even if you think you can't feel it. Don't do it. All the classic things like try to get the lights to be a little dimmer. If you can, have warm colored lights versus cool daylight colored lights at night. Turn off devices a couple hours before bed. All these things might be stuff that you never had to do before, but it could be the case that now when things are difficult, you need to do those things. The other thing I want to mention is, if somebody doesn't mind, I know people are really friendly, nice about looking up videos. Look up a video, if you don't mind, throw the link here in the chat, that is called Shinzen. If you just search Shinzen sleep versus rest, sleep or rest, he talks about this very extensively and says, actually, we often don't need sleep. We actually just need rest. And so, what I would encourage is to recognize that a lot of the time the thing that makes sleep the hardest is this awareness that if I have to get sleep, if I don't get sleep, I'm going to, and it's this kind of anxiety, and actually realizing we don't need sleep. We actually just need to rest the body. So we can just do any meditation, whatever it is, and even if we're a little groggy the next day, we should be fine. We tend to be fine. That sleep versus rest video, good. So that just know that like there's part of you that's like, I have to get sleep, and that part might actually be creating more agitation. So just know that you actually don't need sleep. You just might need rest. Another thing that I found out late, this is later in life, is that often I had a lot of pent up energy, and because I wasn't doing enough fitness, I didn't realize this sort of when I started as a meditation teacher. This can be an extremely sedentary job. Didn't sort of think of that. I just wasn't getting enough fitness, and I would just have all this restlessness at night, and then at some point I realized, like, I need to burn this energy off. So earlier in the day, not right before sleep, I would, do more fitness, and I could just sleep so much better. That's another tip. Is like the other night I was like, I'm going to look at this exercise thing. I mentioned at the beginning of the stream that somebody recommended that I do kettlebells, so I was watching this video because I just got this brand new kettlebell. I was very excited, and so I was trying to do this particular exercise. This thing is very heavy. It's funny because it's only 35 pounds, but it's no joke. That's 16 kg. Whoa! Whoa! I was like, just before bed, I was like, no, I'm going to try it out because I want to like really get them. This is really interesting. And then I was like up till 5 a.m. But interestingly, I was up till 5 a.m. and then the next day I felt great. So interesting. Camera froze again. Thank you for that. Thank you for clarifying. Off in the distance do I look? I wish I knew how to fix this. I don't, but I wish I did. Okay. Excellent. Unfold that leg. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that clarifies. Folks, very excited to be here with you. We're going to be back here in fewer than 72 hours to have fun, to meditate, good times for all. So, folks, I want to leave you here with a wish for you. In this particular moment, just take in your current environment. Notice that we can look around and zip around quickly and etc. We can also look around in a way that's slow. Again, in a way that calms the nervous system, that takes in our overall experience. So as we sit here engaging in our experiential world, enjoying the process, enjoying the experience of what it's like to exist as a living human body mind, enjoying what's easy to enjoy, accepting that sometimes we're not always full of vim and vigor, and that's fine. It's not a problem. And soaking in this experience for what it is, something unique and special, something that could teach us a great deal. So folks, as always, practice well, have fun, take care of each other, and we'll see you back here very, very soon.